Hello there, I'm Angi Cooney, host of the podcast Now What? Today's episode, I am absolutely delighted to introduce someone whose story is quite, well, horrific, really, in places, inspiring in others. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jane Pallister. Welcome, Jane.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for the invite.
You're very welcome, and you've travelled an awful long way, so thank you for this. What I'd like to do, Jane, there are many people out there that will know you and many people that won't.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go right back to the beginning.
Yes.
To talk about you, your
Yeah.
family. So to sort of, a bit of context for you to sort of get going. I know that you were born to...
Well, Mum was English.
Yep.
Father was German descent. I'm here because my grandparents ran away from Hitler.
Yep.
They were in Germany. The oppression of the Jewish population started to bite way before the Second World War. And so they legged it and came to Manchester.
Okay.
And my mum met my dad probably through some mutual friends. And
So you're one girl with 4 brothers.
six.
But 6 in total.
6 in total, yes. So my eldest brother and my youngest brother are to my mum, and obviously.
Were you the eldest of the children? So where were you in the family tree?
So my eldest brother was brought up by my grandma.
Yeah.
For family circumstances. My brother Paul, myself, Philip, Peter, and Daniel were all Lusgartons.
Yeah.
And then my youngest brother, Will, was to my mum and stepdad.
Okay, cool.
So quite a gang.
Yeah, quite a gang of you, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, brought up in Manchester, life was...
Yeah, born and brought up in Manchester, because Angi has a brilliant history in estate agency. I couldn't help sort of taking a screen grab of the house in Edgerton Road, which is worth £750,000. So, I mean, we were very comfortable. It was a beautiful house. My dad, as far as I knew as a child, was a good man. I think he was quite spoilt, quite minted. He allegedly, and this is what I was told, had £21,000 for his 21st birthday.
Wow.
So we had all Dad's sort of like hobby stuff and junk on the ground floor. We lived on the first floor, and we had people in sort of bed sits on the top floor, and they were mostly people working in the Fleet Street of Manchester.
Okay.
So journalists, photographers, so quite an eclectic mix.
Yeah.
And then there was a house around the corner which he rented out in Moldeth Road, and I think he had a couple of motorcycle shops and a cafe. Then he decided that I always remembered, I've got a photograph of this, that we had a boat in the garden.
In Manchester?
As you do, yeah. The most landlocked place you could find, apart from canals. We had a boat in the garden. So he decided one day that he was going to buy a boat for us to live on called the Highland Lassie. A little boat that we used as a car, the Maid Marian, and a boat that he was converting into a floating nightclub. Now, given that, okay, my eldest brother was with my grandma, but there was like 5 of us on that boat as kids, and it was Jackson's Boatyard, Millstone Point Wharf. So we would walk onto a World War II landing craft, walk along the ridge, then onto the gangplank, then onto the boat. So my mum did not find
Hang on a minute, was this in Manchester or do you...
No, this was in Southampton.
Right, okay, let's go back.
Yeah,
because at the moment we're Manchester.
In Manchester. So Dad had this whim, like, I love boats, so I'm going to buy 3.
Yeah.
And we're going to live in Southampton. Where the Southampton connection came from, I do not know. Might have been where he was looking for the boats.
Yeah.
That's where they were. That's where we lived. So that was like primary school number 2.
So how old were you at this point?
You know, because my life has been so mixed, it's difficult to know what age I was.
Okay, that's fine.
Whenever. I don't know, probably about 5, 6, I don't know.
But obviously a good enough memory for you to remember.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And when we were in Southampton, our playground had the QE2 in the background because obviously you've got ships docking.
Yeah, of course.
And then we were on the River Itchen, which was a tidal river. So you were either going up the gangplank like that when the tide was in, or you were going down like that when it was out. And this landing craft, this old piece of metal, was, you know, I mean, it was probably quite a danger, because I do remember looking down into the hold thinking, there's our way to the boat and there's death.
So, you know, when you're obviously as a child, can you remember any part of how you felt? Was it exciting or was it just the norm?
It was the norm. My dad was a real character.
Well,
he was quite
obviously.
eccentric.
Yeah.
I haven't taken after him at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And he just sort of did stuff. And I never felt sort of like dangerous. I never felt it was
So you
awful.
felt safe?
Yeah, we were safe. And he'd got long hair. He looked like Jesus. He was like, I don't know, he was just like an indulged hippie. And my mum was like trying to sort of corral 5 kids, now on a boat in Southampton, no relatives around, just her. And I remember my brother Peter falling into the river, and she stripped off and jumped in after him, and the fishermen hauled him out. And she wouldn't get out because she was down to her bra and pants.
Oh.
And she was just like treading water. So it's not a great surprise when you look back that she ended up sort of like leaving him and divorcing him because she just could not cope with that life.
So, you know, with your paternal grandparents, were they anywhere around or?
They were up in Manchester. So my dad's grandparents were up in Manchester. And I don't remember them too much because I was quite young, they were quite old.
Yeah.
They died, they're buried in the Jewish section of Southern Cemetery in Manchester.
Yeah.
And so, and I might be corrected if my relatives see this because they're in a different, you know, different one, but
yeah.
So I do remember seeing them, but it was a light touch, and it was
Yeah.
probably because I saw them when I was very young. Then we moved to Southampton.
Yeah.
Then we split up. So I don't know whether they were dead or alive at that time, or we were estranged from them or anything.
It's quite an unusual step to get divorced at that time.
Very much.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because my mum, when she left my dad, she went to live with my grandma.
In Manchester.
Yeah, so that was her mum and dad. So Grandma Mary and Grandad George. George was the quietest, most wonderful human being in the world. He was also stone deaf. And we used to have a little phone at my grandma's that got a flashing handset. And I do remember the number because it was called Mercury 6438. And my Grandad George, stone deaf, would answer it and go, Mercury 6438, George Hodgkinson here. I'm deaf and I can't talk to you. And he put it down, we were going, Grandad! We were in the background like shouting and trying to get the phone. We just wanted to answer it and put it down. So yes, but he was, for me, he's the best human being I've ever known. Went through World War II, had shell shock, so he had what we would call now PTSD.
Of course, yeah.
But beautiful man, most beautiful man in the world. He used to sit on the sofa next to him, tripe and vinegar. Still love it. Watching Grandstand.
Okay.
And my Grandma Mary, very slim woman, very opposite to my granddad, sharp as a pin, and very, very blunt, and very sort of, you know, da-da-da.
Very northern, is that
very
what they call it?
northern.
Very northern.
Yeah, and she was a seamstress, and she could sew anything. And she would sit there in her parlour, as she called it. There was a room downstairs. She'd be on, I don't know, I would say 60 fags a day, I don't know, surrounded by nylon.
Gosh.
So at any moment, half of Wythenshawe could have gone up, taken the whole street out, maybe a few streets, and that was it. But she'd just be there with a pudding bowl full of dimps, as she called them. And then she'd like sew something and get on the line. And get on the line for a day, you'll be fine. And she'd put it down. But I loved her, but she was frightening because...
So you'd got...
Yeah.
You'd all moved back up. There were 5 kids.
Yeah.
With your gran and granddad.
Yeah.
And your mum.
And my mum.
Did your mum go to work?
Yes, she did. She always wanted to work and always worked as much as she could. There was a point, and again, you know, this is my recollection. My relatives might go, well, we didn't see it that way, but this is what I, you know,
Well, this
know
is your
this is my life.
This is your story, isn't it?
So my grandma had to throw us out, not because she wanted to, but she had to throw us out for us to get housed.
Of course.
So we ended up in a homeless families hostel called Sunnybanks.
Yeah.
Nothing sunny about it. Kids had distemper or dysentery, and they would be hospitalised because it would go through the whole home. And I do remember a couple of kids disappearing. I knew they'd gone to hospital. My mum used to work, and then she used to use the money to buy fresh fruit, Halley orange, brewer's yeast, and cod liver oil tablets. And so we were dosed up with that and oranges every single night, just to try and keep us healthy.
Yeah.
Because the kids were going to and from hospital, and we never went to hospital. We went out one day and we came back in, and I think my dad had found out where we were. Mike had found out where we were, and we ran up the steps screaming, because my mum ran up the steps screaming. So we ended up in another homeless families hostel. And then from there, we were given a home.
Can I interject your story a minute?
Yeah.
So she left him because she decided to leave him. She didn't want that life.
Yeah.
But there was no reason for them not to be in touch, apart from the fact he was a lifestyle that she didn't quite want to live.
Yeah, and I think he was probably quite spoiled. He was like very spoiled, very indulged.
So you had no relationship with him after that?
We did for a bit, but when my stepfather turned up on the scene, then we didn't.
Okay, yeah.
So
we'll go back then. So
yeah. So we were in this house in Mundy Street, 2 up and 2 down, no bathroom. There was a tin bath literally hanging on a nail outside.
But this was your home?
This was our home. This was our first home.
Your safe home?
Yeah, we had a telephone, so that was a posh bit. And we had a telephone. I don't know what the number was, but we had a telephone. And my mum would go with us to the National Assistance Office, which is at the benefits office.
Yeah.
It was National Assistance 10. She'd be there in a beautiful tweed suit with a beaver lamb collar. And she always came out crying because they weren't PC then. She said, Mrs. Luscarton, you've left a perfectly rich man. Of course, she was stood there. I remember seeing a cheque stub for one skirt and it was 40 quid. So she was there dressed like Joan Collins, asking for a handout and getting a flea in her ear from some mank on the counter. It's like, you're wearing more than my week's wages and you want me to give you a handout for leaving a rich husband. How very dare you? So it was just it was tragic and comedy.
So how many, I know that you've gone to quite a lot of schools as well, and amongst all the humour where sort of, there's a number of this. So your mum's there getting a handout, you're in Mundy Street.
Yeah, we're in Mundy Street.
School 3 or 2, I can't remember what that one is.
That would be school 3.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Every Street, that was probably school 4.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Star Avenue, 5 Aston Avenue, 6. But then, because my stepfather beating us or beating some of my brothers.
Go back, Jane, you're going to skip the story.
I know.
So we'd moved house, so you're in Mundy Street, and then your life's fine, your mum's getting by.
Yeah,
with the kids.
yeah. So my mum's getting by, but there's this huge mill at the end of the road.
Yeah.
She's still Mrs. the Duchess, Mrs. Luscarton, and there was a big break-in in the factory, and the police came. They came in Black Mariahs. I don't know what they were, but that was probably the police cars of the day.
Yeah.
And they raided and they pulled the perpetrators out. Me and my brothers. We'd just gone in. We found this door that we could open. We'd gone in. We walked around. We found the canteen. We ate all the biscuits. Someone phoned the police, and my mum was like, I was not brought up this way. And we were just my God, marched out by the police over the road straight into the house.
Got a flea in your ear.
Probably until whack round the back of the head. So Mrs. Luscarton was not happy.
I read a story. I've read your story, obviously, and there's something about the drunks. Tell me
Yeah.
this story.
Oh, right. Now, at the end of the road, there was a pub called the Fire Brigade. I'm sure it was called the Fire Brigade. And then over the road from there was the YMCA.
Yeah.
And we got no money. So as kids, you do stuff and you don't realise what you're doing. But we went rolling drunks.
Right.
So essentially, because it's a Christian organisation, if the men went out and they got drunk and they were in their care, they would have to sober up.
Yeah.
So they just slept in the garden, they slept it off in the grounds, and we would just roll them over. And then if anything came out of their pocket,
You'd have it. Fair game.
yeah, fair game.
Fair enough. I'd find that
so,
quite.
we just had the money. We just had the money, and then we just go off and spend it.
Okay, fair enough.
But as kids, you don't know.
No, you don't.
And actually now, when I look, and I am working with a group of people where, you know, they are recovering from dependency, I'm just thinking, if a kid did that to them, I would go absolutely nuts. But you just do what you do, and as a kid, you don't have.
But then I think that it was,
you don't have that thought process.
you know, back in time and back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Nobody ever spoke about things like that.
No.
So you are. We have no idea how old you are, but you're quite happy. You're all living there, and you're safe.
Yeah, it was safe, and then
somebody arrived in your life.
Yeah, so we were just poodling away in this scutty little street. Over the road, there was a big block of flats. We called them the Iddy Biddies. That's where older people lived.
Yeah.
And there was a woman called Dirty Dora.
You mean over 60s now, Jane?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
God.
Me.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah. So we'd be living over there, and she's called Dirty Dora, and she had this big pot Alsatian on her table, wrapped in scarves and blankets, and that was her baby. And we used to go and see her.
Isn't it odd how you
I
remember
know, I
things
know.
and-
Yeah, there's just all this, and we used to go and see her. We were fascinated with her, and she stunk. So we called her Dirty Dora. Hopefully not to her face. I don't think we
Well,
ever
let's
did.
hope not.
No, but where you going? We're going to the Iddy Biddies flats. We're going to see Dirty Dora.
Oh.
You just do. I mean, Dirty Dora, rolling drunks, breaking into the warehouse, which was actually a fabric processing place where they pulped it to make. We were awful as kids. I'm just realising we were bad kids because they would have fabrics which they would take into the factory and they would pulp.
Right.
And make into paper.
Yeah.
For I think it was Great Western Street, which was the Fleet Street of Manchester. Of course, these lorries would arrive with bales of clothes, and we'd be like, "Oh, there's a baby's cardigan in there. I'm going to dress my dolly with that." So we'd be like clinging on the back of these lorries, pulling things off. So yeah, so raiding the lorries, raiding the factory, rolling drunks.
You weren't bad kids, Jane. You
We
were just
weren't. We
kids.
just
It was
did
just
stuff.
kids. That's what you do, and
Yeah.
that's what kids did.
Yeah, and it was idyllic. It was idyllic till I got bitten by a rat, and I've still got a little bit of a mark on my finger. Don't make friends with a rat when you're, I don't know, 6 or 7, because they don't make good
They don't
friends.
make good friends.
No, they just bite you. And I was an accident-prone kid as well, because when we were at Edgerton Road, I pinched this chalk off this lad, and I put it down the crack between 2 bricks on a brick wall, and he ran my head into it. So I had a fractured skull.
Oh my
That was
God.
hospital. And then, still at Edgerton Road, my mum went off, and I must have been probably about 5 at this time. I know I'm skipping about a bit.
It's all right.
I crossed the road, and a drunken doctor knocked me over on the zebra crossing. So broke my leg and fractured my pelvis. So then before my mum obviously moved and met Bill, we went to Bellevue Zoo, and there was a railing, and then there was a monkey enclosure, and he bought monkey nuts, and I dropped me monkey nuts, and I went under the railing, and I got scalped by a monkey.
Good God.
So my mum used to say, "You're worse than all the lads. You're worse than all the boys." I climbed, I fractured my skull, I got run over, I got scalped by a monkey, I got bit by a rat.
I need to ask. I've got to go. Scalped by a monkey? How? Ripped your hair out?
Yeah, ripped my hair out, because as I went to pick the
Oh
monkey
my
nuts
God.
up, the monkey went for them at the same time, and the monkey won, because he went out the way. I'm having them. and that was it. So a
No
big,
health and safety then, love, was there?
yeah, another trip to A&E, another trip to hospital.
So we are
Yeah.
just being a kid, enjoying
Just
life.
being a kid in
Mom
Monday
met-
Street.
And Mum met Bill.
Bill. So there was a family around the corner called the Stevensons, and they got kids called Billy, Anna, and Linda, I think, and David. I think there was an older boy, and then his friend Bill was introduced to my mum,
Yeah.
and he became my stepdad.
Okay.
I don't know when they got married, but I know they got married in Manchester, and it must have been at the registry office, probably in the centre of Manchester, because I remember as kids we were just basically piling around.
I think that this is, I mean, and I could be wrong. Would you say that this is your first now what moment that you are?
Yeah.
The divorce of your parents is one thing because you're only relatively
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
Because that was the norm then.
Yeah.
You just became the norm.
Yeah.
But life changed.
Oh, yeah. The now what? It was, okay, this bloke.
Do you know roughly how old you were?
No, because I went to 10 primary schools, 2 secondary schools. Now, some of those primary schools were because 5 of those schools, because we had 2 spells in homeless family hostels, and you were sent straight to whatever school was close by.
Yeah.
The other 3 schools were because we were in foster care. I now know one was because he'd broken either my brother Philip or Danny's leg. I don't know which. And another one was he'd broken my brother Peter's collarbone. And the third one I don't know, but you were always sent to the nearest school.
Okay.
And of course, we were German, and we're in the 60s. Not long after the Second World War, it was still in the memory of everyone.
Yeah.
We were Lustgartens, and quite regularly, at whatever school, the kids would surround us and Heil Hitler us. So there'd be a ring of kids around us. Yeah, and you just sort of, we knew it wasn't nice, and we didn't like it, but we didn't know why it was happening.
Yeah.
And it was because of our surname, and we're German descent. And so we didn't know why we got that.
So obviously you've touched on Bill, but I want to explore the Bill story, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, my first memory of Bill was two things, and they were like, our life is going to change. And we just knew that as kids, and it wasn't going to change for the better.
Did your names change? Did your mum change all of your names?
Eventually, when we moved down to Staffordshire, he then adopted us, and that's
okay. Yeah.
when we
Sorry,
got the surname.
I'm moving the story on too fast, sir.
So so when she met Bill, he was quite charming, very dapper, very well dressed. He was always first up well dressed, suit and tie man. But my dad, Mike, came to the house one Christmas before Christmas when we were in Monday Street, so I remember it.
So were they married at this point?
No, he'd just lived with her. He'd moved in, he lived with her. And it was only 2 bedrooms, so us kids were all in one room.
Yeah.
They were in the other. And I remember my dad arriving, knocking on the door, and I remember this vividly. He knocked on the door and he said, I've got some stuff for the kids. Bill took the box off him, pushed him out the door, slammed the door, wouldn't let him in, and he threatened him. And so from that point on, and there must have been quite a few attempts for my dad to make contact with us, from that point on, Bill blocked him from our lives. I didn't see him for like nearly 30 years.
Wow.
And I'll tell you how I reconnected with him in my adult life. But my now what was, that's not good. And I think he phoned the local police and just said, got all these toys for a children's home. They were our toys. Right. They were our toys. And then another, and I don't know what happened, but he got annoyed about something and he picked the table up, because we've got this typical oak extending table, like a really old-fashioned, picked it up, slammed it down. And that was this is not a good man.
So this is a memory. This is a memory.
This is mine. Yeah, he's not a good man. He's not a good man. And from that point on, we were scared kids.
Yeah.
We were scared kids. We are now the scared kids. We were labelled as underprivileged kids. We were given free meals. We were given free shoes by clerks because they gifted underprivileged kids.
So can I ask you why you were considered underprivileged? Had they married at this point, Bill and your mum?
Still not married.
So what did Bill do for a living? I know what he did later on, but what did he do? Can you remember?
Oh, he did all sorts. He worked at a garage, but I don't think he was a mechanic. He worked as a bouncer at a nightclub, which was probably his forte.
Yeah.
Look how he beat us. And because my mum had a clump of kids and it was getting serious, he needed a job that paid good money.
Did he have children of his own?
No, he'd never been married, got no kids. He was an only child. He left Northern Ireland. He was from Coleraine. He'd left Northern Ireland quite young, probably the age of 15. His father was an Orangeman.
Yeah.
His mother was a Catholic.
Ah, okay.
So they were like ostracised by their families.
Yeah.
His father died quite young. His mother came over from Ireland, Mary Ellen. She was as bad as him.
Fierce tempers. So
Yeah.
we're talking violent.
Tiny woman.
Yeah.
Tiny woman. And she was vile. She'd throw things at us.
Mm.
My mum had red hair. She called her a ginger whore. Because obviously her son, all of a sudden, got this divorced woman
Yeah.
and a pile of kids.
Yeah.
And that was a disgrace to her.
Do you think that it's a hard thing to ask somebody actually. Do you think that she loved him, your mum? Did she love him?
I think she did, but then I think there was a turning point probably for her now, that he was very controlling and very violent. And I do remember him saying quite regularly, "You leave me and I will kill all the kids one by one and then you."
Wow.
I remember hearing that on a regular basis.
Did she ever, I mean, do you want to carry on? Do you want to talk about this? Are you okay talking about
Yeah.
this? Did you ever talk to your mum about that, James? You're very good at, you're a communicator and a half, aren't you?
Yeah, we used to say, "Mum, you got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him." We prayed to God, "God, kill him. God, let him die." Because we were jealous of kids on occasion that went missing from school, having a couple of weeks off because their father died. And we go, "Why can't ours die?
Yeah.
Why can't ours die?" And to this day, I have friends who are really devout, but I have no faith. Because I prayed to God. We prayed to God every single day as kids. "Kill me, Dad. Kill me, Dad." Because it was turned me dad by then.
Of course, yeah.
"Kill me, Dad. Kill him." Because he was a vile man.
So I know he was violent. So in terms of your, and I know that because obviously I know your story,
Yeah.
but for the purposes of this podcast,
Yeah.
it sounds awful saying, can you give me examples of his violence? Because there may be people who have experienced this or are experiencing
I've
it.
got a chip in my tooth. And
Yeah.
these two either side of my front teeth, they're sort of like caps.
Yeah.
I've got a chip in that. These need replacing at some point. I've got a chip in that because I remember, now we had to be in for 9 o'clock. Not 1 minute past.
Yeah.
And as we got older, it was 10 o'clock. And I remember I was in really, really late. And I got to the door, opened it really quietly, locked it. I got partially undressed, shoes in my hair, got to the top of the stairs, pitch black.
Can I ask, were you a teenager at this point?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
I was. I was, yes, because it was secondary school. And he punched me in the mouth. He punched me in the face and I went backwards downstairs.
Wow.
And that's because I was late. He would punch my brothers and there'd be some minor misdemeanor. It wouldn't be anything major. He'd got a flashpoint temper and he did everything stone cold sober.
Right, so he wasn't a drinker
No,
then.
didn't get drunk and beat us, stone cold sober.
So a sadist, really.
Absolute sadist. Absolute sadist. There would be glint in his eye.
And you knew.
And we knew. And another thing he would do, he would say to us, there'd be some misdemeanor, I don't know what it was. We weren't bad kids.
No.
We weren't bad kids. We weren't stealing. We weren't bad kids. He was a bad man.
Yeah.
And another thing he would do, he would send us to school and he'd go, right, when you get in tonight, I'll sort things out.
Oh, God.
So we would go to...
Is that individually? So he'd pick on any of you at any one
Yeah,
point?
there'd be something I'd done. You know, we all had jobs. If you hadn't done a job or something. So all day you were trying to do your schoolwork.
Oh, Jane.
And then every so often you'd catch yourself and this huge fear would come across because you knew. And then you go up, and I became a people pleaser because you go up and you let's get him to like us, get him to do something. And I'd get in, and do you want to talk to me now, Dad? After tea. So then, so there's a mental cruelty,
Of course.
as well as the physical cruelty.
Yeah.
And we kept saying, Mum, save us, do something. We couldn't tell anyone. And I want to explain for anyone that's been through this and anyone that's not been through this and doesn't understand why you don't say something till someone's dead is, as kids, we had no friends because 10 primary schools, you're not going to pick up mates.
No.
And we lived all over the place. If we told someone and we weren't believed and we were sent back into that house,
Yeah.
God knows what would have happened. Well, we sort of know what would have happened. And so when people say, oh, why are they crawling out the woodwork now so-and-so's dead? Because you know that there's no one there on your side.
And there wasn't.
No. You know that there's no one there on your side. And Bill was a counsellor. He was a district counsellor.
Unbelievable.
He was the one in the smart suit. Yeah. He was the one solving people's, problems. I would just be some little ungrateful bitch that dared, after all he's done for us, say things about him.
Yeah.
And so it was a big family secret.
A dirty secret.
A dirty secret.
Yeah. So did you and your brothers, that is one hell of a... How long in a period of time did this go over, Jane?
Into our teens, into we sort of like
so we're talking 10,
left home.
10, 15
My mum was
years?
with him for 30 years, so we had 30 years of it.
Good God.
We had 30 years of it.
So did you and your brothers ever, did you talk to each other about it?
Yeah, we did. We were like, why doesn't my mum get rid of him? What the hell's going on? Why, why? We couldn't understand it, but I understand it now because the thing is, it's a different lens. It's an adult lens now.
Of course it is, yeah.
You know that coercive and controlling behaviour, that's what it was. That is now a crime. But also, behind locked doors, we've got the Crown Prosecution Service. You've got to have evidence.
Yeah.
What evidence did we have? We would be some ungrateful kids who some bloke has picked up the mother and the gang of kids, take them out the gutter.
Yeah.
How dare she? How dare they? How ungrateful. That man's done so much for them. And she turns around and says that.
You've obviously heard it all, haven't
and
you?
he says that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and are now what? As I say, I bear my scars. I bear my scars invisibly, but highly visibly.
Yeah.
To my credit and to my brother's credit, they're not junk. They didn't turn out to be drunks.
No.
Junkies. They didn't turn out to be thieves, criminals. They didn't turn out to be people who battered their own families.
No.
Our way of defeating him was to be better than him.
Absolutely.
And I'm a smart cookie, and I knew I was brainier than him, and I knew that rankled him.
Yeah.
I knew that rankled him.
So that is end of episode 1 of my interview with Jane Pallister. Tune in next week for episode 2.